What's up, brother?
Hey mate, how's it going?
Good, man. So let's catch up.
Sounds good.
I have a weird question for you. You've
Yes.
probably heard it a million times.
I can guess.
Yeah. So what's it like living under the shadow of your famous father?
Yeah, definitely a question I get asked a lot.
Or maybe, yeah.
Is what was it like growing up under the shadow of your dad? And funnily enough, I never really felt any pressure because my father never pressured me into going surfing or anything like that. Same with my mother, but my life was always around the ocean. And I was fortunate enough to, I think that's the one thing I've learned from my family is that just realizing every single day the fortunates of being able to go in the ocean and have that possibility is huge.
Yeah.
So there was never any pressure from my dad.
So he wasn't like a moto dad or a soccer
He
dad?
was far from a soccer dad. He was the last guy to convince me or try and get me to do a competitive surfing event because my dad had already been through the whole competitive success, get back to nature, come back later and do the longboard thing. Like he'd been through all the evolutions and it's such a personal thing, surfing.
Yeah.
And it was as I got older, I realised the magnitude of what he'd given surfing and some of the pivotal changes that he helped have occur.
Yeah.
Which is, from a fan's perspective, I see it like I on one hand, my dad, who is like my best friend, and then and probably more than anything, like best friend, because as a dad, he's like my dad can be pretty out there. Like, follow me off this ledge, and we're just gonna jump into the sea. I know you're a little young for this, but if you stay right on my heels, we're good. Like, I'm listening because I haven't got much choice. And then you're out there, you're like, this has just been the most incredible day.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, there is, as a young teen, older guys like, oh, how's your dad surfing in Morning of the Earth? And, putting flex into fins, and with George Greeno, Bob McTavish, I've heard it thousands of times now, but cutting boards down, adding the flex to the fins, creating the go vertical type scenario.
So the shortboard.
Shortboard revolution.
Wow.
And that's where it's like, I see my dad as a best mate, but then on the other side, which I would never tell him, is seeing him, as someone that I admire.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
So, but I never and then how it came to be that I ended up following a competitive route at all is because at the time as a longboarder, there was no other avenue to make a living rather than doing the contest scene. And I guess if your dad's a plumber, you often become a plumber.
Yep.
And I kind of saw it as that, but surfing's such a beautiful thing, it's never that. And then it's funny, I feel like my life's had the same twists and turns, kind of around the same ages as my dad, did the competitive thing, wanted out.
So you were competing?
Yeah.
How old or? I
started competing pretty young, and honestly at that point in time I only thought there was shortboarding, in the mid to late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
I only ever saw, that's all I saw.
Yeah. So did you see
I didn't even know
Benji
there
or
was
anyone?
my dad rode a longboard, but
Yeah.
fuck, was I going to ride one of those fucking things? Not really.
Yeah.
And then obviously I looked up to guys a couple of years older than me, such as Benji Weatherly, so many of them.
Yeah.
But I did, it came about, I was sponsored by a French company, and they sent us to Italy, funnily enough, for the part of this longboard tour. And I was the shortboard guy that was just roped in because my best friend Joel Tudor at the time and my dad and others were all there on a longboard trip, so we'll just have him go on that and then he can go and do the shortboard events after the tour. And first morning, woke up in Italy, I think it was Rome actually, and there were tiny waves about that big, Impossible to surf on a 5'11" shortboard,
So-
even for Kelly Slater, you know.
So everyone paddled out and couldn't even
No one
catch a
paddled
wave?
out. They were all
Yeah.
jet lagged and asleep.
Wait, so that's how you won? You
No,
were the
that-
only
my-
one?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I was the only one there. Of course, I had
Of course
to
I
do
got
well.
first place.
But yeah, so, and I grabbed one of the longboards they had. They were all fast asleep, and paddled out, and I literally caught an ankle-high wave. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And that was it. I was 21. And I didn't follow the shortboard career I was supposed to be doing that year, and I just dedicated myself to longboarding.
So what did your mates think and stuff? Like, they think you were crazy? Or
to be honest, especially the guys that were on the shortboard tour, they couldn't understand it at all. And it was that time, you know, mid 90s, it wasn't cool. But it never bothered me that it wasn't cool. It was cool to me, I loved it.
Yeah.
And that got me into riding fish surfboards and mid-lengths, and, you know, Donovan Frankenrider, Joel Tudor, those guys, they were already riding alternative equipment. There wasn't many people that were.
Yeah.
And I just gelled with that. I loved that, and then created alternative boards down the track, like the Wombat and other things.
Yep.
And but yeah, like in reference to my dad, it's just like I've been fortunate enough to hang out with a lot of surfers from a lot of different eras.
Yeah.
And I think that's given me a broad perspective of my surf craft that I like to ride.
Yeah.
Really.
And then how did you get into shaping boards?
Yeah, I probably started shaping in around 20. I probably shaped my first board then.
Like for yourself?
For myself. And I just, I found it fascinating, because definitely for myself, because the first 8 or 10 you would not, no one could give you money for them because they were that shit. And I think I enjoyed the process. Like, I know you were talking to me the other day about sculpting, and it's like, that's what it is, like the old school way with hand tools, and I love that process. And I've always been, like, through one of my dad's friends, George Greeno, absolute living legend, formerly of Santa Barbara, now the Byron Bay Hills, a true surfing genius, that guy. No one knows hydrodynamics like George Greeno.
Wow.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to drive out to his house and just sit around and listen to him tell stories about stuff. He's the kind of guy that will talk for hours on end, and he still cuts his own bowl cut, makes his own boats. He's in my opinion, the one and only true surfing genius is George Greeno.
So is that water dynamic and how it affects? Was that just from him purely being in the water and around the water, or was it like he didn't go to college for that?
No, he's just a genius mind.
Yeah.
Like, he's the reason that he's the main pivotal character that created shortboard. Because he was always on his knees with a highly flexible fin and a board that flexed as well, so they're in unison. Like, he always refers to dolphins, and he's just really a pretty incredible individual. And
so he was a neighbor or something, or your dad?
He was just, he was
mate,
my dad, George, and Bob McTavish together. They were really close, and they all lived in the Byron Bay Hills, and they'd all left mainstream society, and they'd left the competitive framework of surfing, but then through Bob and George, Dad came back in and kind of altered a few things, I guess, that year in 1966 in San Diego, and on his magic board, Sam. And I guess the rest is history. That's why you've got guys like Chipper Wilson and whoever else doing phenomenal things in the air, because it's just like natural progression. But so I was always interested in shaping, and to this day I find it tremendously challenging. But however, the hydrodynamics and the fact that you can have an idea in your mind and put it onto the canvas, and oftentimes it far exceeds your expectation. Like, I've had a little egg board that I made, 5'8", round tail, deep concaves, highly flexible fins. That just gave me a completely new love of surfing in a time when I was a bit like, it's a saturated thing, and like, I'm not getting anything out of it. And what do you need to get out of it anyway? You paddle out, catch one wave. However, it's nice to have those little things that can really spark you. And
Yeah.
as a shaper, I find that medium is a way for me to deepen and continually grow my love of the art form.
So it never gets like, oh, fuck, I gotta shape another board or whatever.
No, and also I love that. Well, you know what snowboarding's given you. I know what surfing's given me, and the fact that you can get an email back from someone and saying you've changed my life with this board.
Yeah, that's like,
It's made me a better human being.
yeah.
And you're like, what, through a inanimate object?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So it's when you get the customers that are like, that thing's amazing, and you can't fully reinvent the wheel this day and age with a surfboard, but the last little period here at Forecast has made me realise you can, and for the better of the planet.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that. Like, having been fortunate enough to enjoy the great outdoors and the sea. I'm a parent now. It's important to me.
Yeah.
And rather than just talking the talk, putting your green foot forward. And I think that's where the Forecast crew are doing amazing things, because it's looking after the planet. It's futuristic, but it's also historical. So it's like three-pronged sword, I guess. Yeah, it's very inspiring.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, so before I cry, I gotta ask you another question. What the fuck is a wombat? I always imagine it's some crazy mean badger thing in Michigan or something, but
A wombat is a Australian marsupial.
okay.
Very hairy, rotund,
Hey, I'm right here. I can hear you.
amazing
I
at
can
height.
hear you.
Amazing. The fastest Australian land animal over a distance is the wombat. And I've had this thing with boards ever since the wombat. I try and name my boards after an Aussie animal, like a quokka, cute little big teethed small kangaroo or platypus or what have you. But the wombat's cool, and it kind of happened. The concept was looking at boards of like Michael Peterson and Wayne Lynch, who are two very pivotal Australian surfing characters, both complete individuals, and Michael Peterson definitely left of centre, absolute guru, and they rode shorter, wider boards with a basic V-bottom at a period of time, which was why I developed the Wombat, just because it's accessible to anyone of any ability, and they're fun. Ultimately fun, and they just
What's the
people are like, I've never caught so many waves, and they're just really they cater to everyone, and it doesn't matter if you're a Benji Weatherly or a Chipper or myself or someone catching their first wave. You can get a flow on the Wombat. And you know what I like most? It's kind of like surfing itself. It's like stripping it back to the basics. It's such a basic shape. It's just wide, fun, basic bottom shape. Not going to freak anyone out, but you'll get a flow.
and a really cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love that. Love it. So obviously you've been around the world, surfing, shaping, besides normal travel, waves. You've been to Italy, obviously. Have you ever been to Alghero?
I've been, so early 2000s, I was working for an Italian clothing label.
Yeah.
And I got to see all of Italy, came to Sardinia. I was actually with those guys for about 10 years. And I remember surfing, there's a wave south of here called Mini Capo, which is one of their most famous waves in Sardinia. And I had a ball, and I loved it just reeks of Italian culture here, I feel. Like the food, the people, the history, something we don't really get in Australia. I love getting to come here.
Yeah.
I feel so honoured to be here right now.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like there's ancient Roman ruins like right down the street. They're just
Yeah.
there.
I know.
And that history and culture, then the Spanish,
Yep.
and then fortunately we're able to be here as well.
I know.
It's
And
pretty cool.
it's kind of hard to put into words because, like, getting by as a surfer, even though it's so idealistic and beautiful, you do put in a lot of time and energy and all those things to better yourself as a surfer. It's personal, but also it kind of, you know, if you can do it well enough, you can make a living out of it, which I never ever expected.
Yeah.
Like I never
Yeah.
expected that could happen, but I just dedicated to the love. I just
And more than making a living, make your whole career, which is so special. And I, the same way with, you know, the snowboarding to now on the surf side, it's pretty blessed.
Yeah, and then I guess so blessed. And Italy really is special to me because I feel like they saw me. You know, even back then they saw me and they supported me in my artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
You know, which it's you know, it's hard to put into words. Like to have a nation with such culture support you is really cool.
Awesome. And then with Forecast, you're kind of OG as far as what was your first, you know, interaction, and it was years ago.
Yeah.
And it was a thing, but it wasn't necessarily Forecast, but it's pretty cool that you're here now. And like, what do you think of from the concept to where we are?
Yeah. So I randomly got a message from what turns out to be this lovely guy, Claudio, in 2018 about this dream. He's always had this dream and vision to create these incredibly sustainable surfboards of the utmost quality, you know, typical Italian style. And can we meet in Milan? This is 2018.
Huh.
And I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah, I'd love. Never been to Milan. I hadn't actually been, and what a great city. And he was lovely, and we had all these great chats. And then I was hoping the dream was kind of going to come to fruition for him. And we kept in touch sporadically, and then the topic of Forecast came along, and he said the stars have aligned, the pieces of the puzzle have come together. It's no longer just...
And that was years later, obviously.
Yep, years later. And basically everything's in place to create something really, really special. On the sustainable front, on the technology front, on family values, which is so Italian.
Yeah.
And are you still interested? And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Of course I am. And then to see the evolution to now, and to look at the way a surfboard's produced and the mindfulness when it comes to waste and all those aspects, and then the tech side being followed through not only in boards but also in apparel. It's been a tremendous learning experience for me as well, and I've already made lifelong friends, and I feel humbled and honoured and excited, really.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So tell me about your music. If you have time.
Well, I guess it's funny, like, for me, because surfing can be so insular, just like if you're on a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it with friends,
Yeah.
and you all have the rush where you're like, shit, that's awesome. But for me, like so many people, women in particular, think I write a song about a female, but it's not. Yeah, so often, like, people think that I'm writing a song about a particular love that I've had or a love that I'm with or things like that, but that's never generally the case. It's predominantly my songs are about the ocean, and they touch on spiritual because that's what I get from it, from a lifelong joy and just the pure fact I've been fortunate enough to paddle out every day I possibly can, which is like my mantra. You know, like, I don't care if it's 1 foot, 10 foot onshore, offshore. It's like life.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
never straight. It's
Yeah.
never easy. Sometimes it's better than you ever expected
Yeah.
on one day or whatever. So multi-dimensional, and the songs I write, most of them are about the sea, and then and I guess it's folk rock, a lot of finger picking, and it's kind of like, I guess I've never dropped the ball with songwriting because the ocean keeps telling me to write,
Yeah.
and I want to write, and I want to, you know, I consider myself something of an introvert, but if you're telling me to stand up there and sing my ass off, if you're telling me to stand up there and sing my ass off for the sea, I will.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I won't. Full love and respect to Jack Johnson, but I'll belt it because that's my way of projecting how I really feel.
Yeah.
Like, and Jack has his way, and
Yeah.
whoever has
Yeah.
their way. But that also can be soft and quiet. So I love that about music.
Yeah.
It can be
Yeah.
it can be anything you want it to be.
And it's like you said, like it's like what surfing is.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like you play one harmonic note, and that can resonate everything that you feel about the sea. So
Yeah.
I love that that aspect of it. It can be so much or so little.
Yeah.
I tend to be wordy, which drives me crazy sometimes. So then I focus on less words.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and you know, I've got hundreds of songs now, and I feel like it's like surfing in the fact, like you can never be as beautiful as a wave. None of us can.
Yeah.
You can never surf as beautifully as a wave, and I can never describe what the sea gives me. So I'll continue to write and I'll continue to sing.
Wow.
That's my thinking in that. And sometimes it's made me money, sometimes it just cost me money.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, and you know, there was years there where I felt like living in my barn, it was just my dog listening to me, and he'd often just fucking get off his couch and go to the next room. But you know what? It's it's special. I don't know what to do without that now.
Yeah.
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 Awesome, man.
Cool,
Well,
man.
good catching up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fast
special.
friends.
Yeah, mate.
Sweet.